I was frantically shuffling through the funding round paperwork, numbers, forecasts, term sheets, when my phone vibrated dryly against the glass of my desk. My mom's name popped up. My heart sank treacherously, deep inside, even before I'd read it. Mom wrote, "Madison, we need to discuss Easter plans." I knew it. God, how I knew that tone. Those carefully crafted, neutral words that always hid a chasm. They never started with the point. First, reconnaissance in force. Me. "What's wrong, Mom?" The answer didn't come right away. 3 dots danced on the screen as if she'd been typing and deleting. And then, "Your sister Ashley is taking Christopher to Easter brunch. He just became a junior partner at Whitman and Cross, Harvard Law School. Prestigious. Your father and I want to make a good impression." I waited, clenching my jaw. My palms were clammy. The sequel was as inevitable as gravity. "You understand, this is important for Ashley's future. Christopher comes from a very prominent legal family. His father argued before the Supreme Court. We're meeting at a country club." Silence. It filled my office, whose panoramic windows looked out onto the cold glow of San Francisco Bay. I looked at the sign on the door. Madison Harper, co-founder and CEO. A fresh copy of the March issue of Forbes lay on the edge of the desk. Our team was on the cover, my tired but triumphant face. A large headline, "LegalTech Revolutionaries, the Startups Killing Big Law." I still waited, knowing that the worst blow is always dealt gently. "Perhaps you should skip this one." The message finally spilled out. "You know what lawyers are like. They're very achievement-oriented. When they ask what you do, well, we don't want Ashley to feel awkward." That's all. Me. I was that awkward question, that blemish on the flawless facade of their Easter performance. Me. "Are you rescinding my invitation to Easter because Ashley's fiancé is a lawyer?" The answer came instantly, defensive and sharp. "Madison, I'm not rescinding, just hinting. You dropped out of law school. You work at some tech startup no one has heard of. Christopher and his parents will be talking about cases, legal strategies, partnerships. You'll feel out of place." Some tech startup. A hot haze clouded my vision. I glanced around my office, the brain of our growing empire, the place where, every day, we disrupted the very world my family so desperately tried to please. Me. "I understand." Her answer was full of fake, sweet concern. "Mom, you're not upset?" Me. "No, Mom. Have a wonderful brunch." It physically hurt me to type that. "We'll do something this May. Just the girls. Maybe we'll have lunch at that lovely Olive Garden. You like Olive Garden, right?" Oh my God, Olive Garden. The last time I was there was 4 years ago for a farewell dinner before leaving for Palo Alto. For them, I'm forever frozen in that version of myself, promising, but ultimately taking a wrong turn. The daughter whose path ended somewhere after a brilliant undergraduate degree at Princeton. The muscles in my face tightened with tension. I leaned back in my chair and the memories washed over me like a wave of bitterness. 6 years ago. A summa cum laude degree, a double major, offers from Yale, Harvard, Stanford. The world was a map, every path leading to partnership at a firm like Whitman and Cross. I chose Stanford, the only rebellion I had the courage to commit. And then, 3 weeks before final exams, it happened. That project. 6 hours in a stuffy library. 6 hours struggling with archaic software that seemed to exude mothballs and arrogance. $200 for access to information that should have been free. I stormed into our dorm room in a rage. "This is the Middle Ages," I shouted at my roommate Chinley, a genius programmer. She called up the database code with a single movement. "Mads, this isn't the Middle Ages. This is just crap code. I can write better code in a weekend." "Why doesn't anyone do this?" I hissed, still seething. She looked at me as if I'd just asked the stupidest question in the world. "Because lawyers can't code, and geeks don't know what a motion to recuse a judge is. And you're both." That night was the point of no return. The thought buzzed in my head like an angry bee. a billion-dollar industry built on deliberately ugly, expensive interfaces. I could have changed that. I had to. I dropped out of school. The rumble of silence that fell upon our family was more deafening than any scream. My father, an icy wall. My mother, quiet tears at breakfast. Ashley, a contemptuous, "You've shamed us all." I left for San Francisco with Chinley, a one-bedroom apartment smelling of mold and despair, credit cards maxed out, a diet of instant noodles, and the insane belief that our Lex AI would be the thing that would change everything. The first year burned my soul. Doors slammed in my face. Who are you to teach us law? Investors sneered. Lawyers, they hate everything new. You'll burn out. And on the first Thanksgiving after my fall, Ashley, beaming, was talking about her work at the Harvard Law Review, her summer internship at, oh, the irony, Whitman and Cross. My mom, turning to me with a fake smile, said, "Madison, are you still tinkering with your little project?" The little project had just signed its first client. "How sweet," she said, and the tone of her voice cut everything off. My dad, condescendingly, "Ashley will be making $200,000, and you?" I was making zero, $30,000 a year. I slept on a sagging mattress. But we had 12 clients, and our AI learned faster than any Harvard freshman. Ashley then tossed across the table, breaking off a piece of turkey. Some of us don't need to figure it out. Some of us plan. In our second year, we raised $2.3 million, real money. Our team had grown. My income soared. For the first time, I could afford a proper bed. And on Christmas Day, Ashley announced her engagement to Christopher Whitman IV. Dinner turned into a triumphal procession. His business, his partnership, his dynasty. The Whitman name on the buildings at Harvard. My mother caught my eye, not with sympathy, but with concern, as if I were a mine that could detonate this perfect evening. When Christopher, out of politeness, asked about my work, Ashley quickly interrupted with a slight chuckle. "Oh, Maddie dropped out of Stanford for some startup. That's sweet." Actually, legal tech, we're changing legal research, came out of my mouth smoothly, without a tremor, but inside everything twisted into a tight knot. Christopher's smile wasn't just condescending, it was architectural, built from generations of confidence. Changing it? That's ambitious. The legal industry is pretty resilient to change. "I've noticed," I managed, feeling a bitterness rise in my throat. He took a sip of wine, studying me over the glass. "What's your revenue?" "About $800,000 this year." He nodded, and the nod felt like an act of mercy, like condescension toward something small and insignificant. Small fry. Whitman and Cross bills $800,000 in a good week. Legal tech startups come and go, but firms like ours, we're institutions. My father beamed as if he'd just heard a revelation. "Absolutely right. Madison, you should hear this. Christopher understands how the real legal world works." I bit my tongue until it hurt, tasting like metal, and started talking about the weather. Later, in the kitchen, Ashley cornered me by the refrigerator, her voice a hissing whisper. "Stop trying to compete. You dropped out. You failed. Just accept it and move on." "I didn't fail, Ashley. I chose a different path." Her eyes narrowed. "A road to nowhere. Christopher gets more in bonuses than your company's entire revenue. Know your place." Your place. Those words burned like a brand. But in the third year, the universe finally swung in our favor. The breakthrough was resounding. $28 million in Series A funding. Our first whale, a reputable top 50 company that, thanks to us, reduced its research expenses by 60%. Then a second, 12 more. Revenue soared to $15 million. 120 hearts beat in time with our mission. Tech publications began talking about us as the future. Ironically, I was invited to give a lecture at Stanford Law School. I didn't say a word to my family. They didn't even ask. On Easter of that year, Christopher and Ashley announced their wedding date. His parents were throwing the engagement party at their Connecticut estate. A very exclusive guest list, my mother said, her voice both guilty and triumphant. Judges, senators, legal luminaries. I'm sure it will be wonderful, I replied, already knowing what would happen next. Well, she hesitated, not looking at me. That's more for Christopher's professional circle. You understand? Me. Not invited. To my sister's party. Ashley avoided my gaze, but her excuses were oddly relieved. It's just that Christopher's parents are very traditional. They ask that the guest list reflect a certain caliber. I didn't measure up. She didn't measure up to her own family's level. Christopher, as if to finish him off, added with his crystalline frankness, "No offense, Madison, but my father's firm represents Fortune 100 companies. Guests will include federal appellate judges, deans, and managing partners. Your startup pitch just doesn't fit the atmosphere." I understand, I said then. And I understood. I understood with chilling clarity. And in our 4th year, we didn't just grow, we exploded. Series B funding, $95 million from Sequoia. Revenue, $67 million. 400 client firms, including giants whose names once filled me with awe. 340 employees worldwide. Our AI no longer simply sought precedents. It thought, predicted, and created. It was changing the very fabric of the profession, forcing institutions like Whitman and Cross to rack their brains and cut staff. And then came a call from the Wall Street Journal. Story for the April issue: 30-year-old founder kills Big Law's golden goose. Publication date: Easter Sunday, March 31st. March 18th, the same day my mom's text arrived. I was still sitting there, stunned by her words, when Chinley knocked. "A photographer from the Wall Street Journal is here for a cover shoot." "A cover shoot?" I repeated, my voice sounding foreign. "They've upgraded your status. They said your influence is too great for a simple story." I glanced at the screen. "We don't want to make things awkward." A bitter smile escaped my lips. "Madison, are you okay?" "I've never been more okay. Let's take them to the studio." The article was exhaustive, almost merciless. 4 pages, photos. The headline was jarring: How Madison Harper's AI Destroyed Traditional Legal Research. It contained the numbers: $67 million in revenue, $580 million in valuation, thousands of obsolete jobs. And my words: if your job can be done better by an algorithm, you should learn how to create algorithms. And a mention of Stanford, not as a failure, but as a prescient escape from a sinking ship. March 30th, a call. Ashley. Her voice was strained, devoid of all the usual superiority. "Madison, I need to ask you something. Christopher's firm, they're all panicking. They're talking about some legal tech company destroying their departments. His father is furious." "Okay," I said, savoring every second of that pause. "Is this your company? Are you the one doing this?" I closed my eyes, picturing her face, and smiled into the phone. "Why are you asking?" "Because Christopher's father is holding an emergency partner meeting because of the threat from Lex AI. They're trying to figure out how to compete. Is that you? Are you Lex AI?" "I'm the CEO and founder, yes." Silence. So thick it felt like you could cut it with a knife. Everything was drowned out in it. Her arrogance, their Connecticut estate, their country club. "Ashley, you're the one putting lawyers out of work," she finally exhaled. "Christopher's firm just fired 30 associates because of your AI." "Has Christopher made partner yet?" I asked, softly, genuinely curious. "What? No, he's still on his way. But—" "Then tell him," I interrupted, my voice ringing with steel honed by years of struggle, "that he needs to learn to code fast. The legal industry is changing, whether Whitman and Cross likes it or not." "That's not funny, Madison." Her voice rose to a screech. "Christopher's family has been in the law for 4 generations, and you're simply ruining it." Cold fury, quiet and precise, finally erupted. I'm destroying inefficiency. If Whitman and Cross hadn't put on airs and just adapted, they would have been our clients long ago. They'd be earning more while spending less. But they prefer to stay stuck in 1985 and charge clients $400 an hour for what my AI does in 4 minutes. You seem proud of that, she hissed, and her tone was so full of contempt that the phone in my hand felt red hot. Yes, Ashley, I'm proud. We made law accessible to those who couldn't even dream of big law before. We burned out fraudulent accounts with a hot iron. We changed the rules of the game. Yeah, damn, I'm proud of every night I spent and every sneer I overcame. And Mom rescinded my invitation because I might have embarrassed you. So frankly, I stopped caring what she thinks a long time ago. A sharp dial tone shattered the silence. She hung up. I lowered the phone, watching the screen fade. My reflection in the dark glass was calm. We had a product launch on Tuesday. Their Easter farce wasn't high on my list of priorities. March 31st, Easter Sunday. I spent the morning in my Pacific Heights penthouse, 3 levels of glass, steel, and silence, bought for $4.2 million in cash. I ate breakfast on the terrace, watching the fog kiss the peaks of the Golden Gate Bridge. I practiced yoga, feeling every muscle, strong, controlled. I sorted through reports from London. The peace was absolute. Until 10:47. Then the phone exploded. Mom. I declined the call, watching the name fade. Dad. Same fate. Ashley. Christopher. This was new. Rejected. Unknown area code 203. Connecticut. Must be Father Whitman. Ignored. But the voicemails? They were masterpieces of panic. Dad. Madison. I have the Wall Street Journal in my hands. You're on the cover. You're the CEO. How come we didn't know? Call me back. Now. Mom. Honey, everyone at brunch is talking about you. Christopher's father? He's beside himself. We need to talk. How could you not tell me you were coming to the Journal? You've humiliated us. Christopher's father says you're single-handedly ruining the entire profession. How could you? Christopher. Madison, let's discuss your company's practices. Father wants a meeting. Call me back. Unrecognized number. Voice honed by years of arrogance and anger. Ms. Harper, Christopher Whitman III, your predatory influence over the industry demands serious consideration. Be in my office on Monday. I poured myself a mimosa, sipped it, and read the avalanche of texts. Ashley, everyone's staring. This is a nightmare. Ashley, his dad is raging and ranting. Ashley, Mom's in tears. You planned this, right? Mom, why did you hide your success? We would have supported you. Dad, the managing partner of the firm is at our desk, asking the most unpleasant questions about you. You picked this day on purpose, to ruin everything. I typed a reply into the group chat where I'd been ignored for 4 years. Happy Easter. Enjoy your meal. And then I left. At 2:01 p.m., the doorbell rang. On the panoramic camera screen, them. All 3 of them, in Easter costumes that now looked like carnival costumes. Mom, wearing pearls and a tear-stained face. Dad, holding a crumpled magazine. Ashley, a distorted mask of rage and confusion. They'd driven for an hour and a half without removing those stupid hats. Curiosity, caustic and poisonous, overcame me. I opened the door. Madison, Mom burst in first, her perfume mingling with the scent of my freshly brewed coffee. Dad silently held up the magazine, like a witness statement. You're worth $580 million. Ashley stood in the doorway, as if afraid to cross a line. You let us think you were nobody. I waved my hand around the room, the impeccable lines, the art on the walls, the view that was worth millions. Did you really think that? Or was it just more comfortable for you? Mom's gaze darted to the painting, then to the fireplace, to the panoramic windows. Her brain, trained to evaluate status based on external attributes, performed rapid, painful calculations. This apartment, she began. $4.2 million. In cash, I finished for her. Dad sank onto the sofa, the expensive leather sighing softly beneath him. And you lived like this, and kept quiet. I wasn't silent. You didn't listen. 4 years, Dad. Not a single question. Not a single sincere, how are you? Only condescension or silence. That's not fair, Ashley blurted out, still standing in the doorway. You were secretive. I was neglected. That's a big difference. Madison, please, Mom's voice wavered, a real, raw note sounding in it for the first time. We didn't know. If you'd just said... Say what? I interrupted, the chill in my voice silencing her. At Thanksgiving, I talked about my first client. You asked Ashley about the law review. At Christmas, I mentioned funding. Dad advised me to go back to school. At Easter, I mentioned speaking at Stanford. Christopher lectured me on institutions. You chose who you saw me as, a convenient family failure. And I stopped trying to dissuade you. The silence hung thick as fog outside the window. But you could have insisted, Ashley cried out, a childish resentment lacing her voice. Insist? Beg for your attention? I had a revolution to build. I didn't have time to beg for approval from people who saw me as nothing more than a shadow. Dad looked up at me, and for the first time in years, I saw not disappointment, but confusion in his eyes. I'm sorry. We were wrong. But understand, Ashley was at Harvard, the law review, those prestigious offers. And I was building something that makes her prestige obsolete. You were too blinded by the glitter of her proper success to see mine, which turned out to be greater. More? Ashley took a step forward, her face contorted. You're ruining an entire profession. I'm burying backwardness. There's a difference. Christopher's father says you're putting good people out of work. I'm putting bad business models out of business. Those who adapt are ahead. The rest are left behind. It's called evolution. It's called ruthlessness, she screamed. Can you imagine what was going on at that table? He read the article, his face turning purple with every paragraph. His partners asked me how my sister could betray her own class. Mom cried because she didn't know her daughter was on the cover. That sounds like a rather awkward brunch, I remarked, sipping my mimosa. That was humiliating. How strange, I said quietly, looking her straight in the eye. I've felt similarly all these years, especially when they kept removing me from the guest list so I wouldn't accidentally embarrass you in front of that important legal family. My words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. They hit the nail on the head. Mom tried to backtrack, to patch up the breach with her usual saccharine tone. Darling, we want to make things right. We want to be part of your success. We're proud of you. I examined her face, the sincere, desperate hope in her eyes, and it made me feel even more bitter. Are you proud of me? Or are you proud of being on the cover of the Wall Street Journal? Those are two different things, Mom. Both, of course. She nodded fervently, grasping at this straw. Then where were you? My voice broke, finally releasing the pain that had been building for years. Where were you 4 years ago, when I was sleeping on a sagging mattress and living on instant noodles for a month? Where were you 3 years ago, when I first signed a contract with a top 50 firm? Where were you 2 years ago, when we raised $95 million and I made the Forbes 30 under 30 list? Mom blinked, as if I was speaking a different language. You made the Forbes list 2 years ago? I didn't tell you, because last time at dinner you already made it clear I was squandering my Princeton degree. Why repeat it? Dad, sitting on my couch, seemed to shrink. Madison, please, we made a mistake. Give us a chance to make it up to you. Make it up, I laughed, the sound dry and prickly. So that now, when the whole world has already recognized my success, you too can take some of the credit? So that you can say at your dinner parties, our Madison, we always believed in her. That's cruel, Ashley interjected, her face twisted with anger. You're taking revenge on us for not being able to read minds. How are we supposed to know about your enormous success if you hid it yourself? You never asked. A scream burst out of me, echoing off the high ceilings. I clenched my fists, feeling a shudder run through my body. 4 years, Ashley. Not a single, how are you? Not a single, what are you doing? You called it a cute little project. You told me to know my place. You didn't invite me to your engagement party because I don't fit the level. You pulled me out of Easter so as not to embarrass Christopher. You don't know. You didn't want to know. You were more comfortable with a loser sister who made your path seem flawless. I was your living warning. The silence after those words became thick, suffocating. All their excuses were drowned in it. It's true, I said quietly, looking at them in turn. You didn't come here because you're proud. You're here because I made you look stupid in front of those whose opinions matter to you. Christopher's father read about my AI destroying his company, and now you urgently need damage control. That's not true, Mom whispered weakly, her eyes darting around, unable to find a firm foothold. Really? Tell me honestly, if this article had appeared on any other Sunday, not Easter, would you be standing in my living room right now, or would you still be hinting that I should skip the family event? She didn't answer. Her silence answered. I thought so. Dad rose from the couch, his figure always so confident, now seeming broken. What do you want from us, Madison? An apology? You have that. A confession? You've achieved that. What else? Nothing, I exhaled, and the word held a terrible, final weariness. I don't need anything from you. I have a company that's changing the world. I have a team of 340 brilliant people who believe in our cause. I have the respect of the industry. I have a valuation of $580 million. I don't need your approval to breathe. We're your family, Mom said again, like a mantra. Families don't look down on you. Families support you before it becomes fashionable. You're my blood relatives, but my real family is Chinley, who believed in me when all I had was debt and an idea. These are my employees. These are the investors who took a risk when everyone else laughed. Ashley's phone vibrated frantically on the table. She glanced at the screen, and her face turned white. Christopher. He's writing. His father wants to know if you'll meet him. Madison, please. His partnership is being reviewed in 6 months. If his father decides that being associated with you is a burden, that's not my problem, Ashley. How can you be so cold? I learned from the best, I retorted, not breaking eye contact. You were cold when you refused my invitation. Mom was cold when you implied I'd embarrass you. Dad was cold when he called my life a fantasy. I simply learned to exist in the same temperature. They left. With tears, with reproaches, empty-handed. I poured myself another mimosa. My phone lit up with notifications. The article had exploded on social media. The legal tech community was jubilant. Big Law was in hysterics. Young lawyers were writing to me, thanking me, asking about openings. And the family chat, which I'd already left, was in turmoil. Ashley, are you happy? Christopher's partnership is in question due to his connections to an industry disruptor. Mom, please call. We can fix everything. Dad, my sister's career is in jeopardy. Can you at least meet Whitman? I typed a reply, deleted it, typed again. Finally, I sent one last message before deleting the chat entirely. I left this conversation 4 years ago. You just didn't notice until today. April 2nd. My assistant knocked on my office door. Ms. Harper, Christopher Whitman III is here. He doesn't have an appointment, but he insists. I glanced at the bay panorama outside the window. Let me in. He walked in the way one would enter a courtroom where fates are decided. An impeccable suit, graying hair at the temples, an almost physical air of authority. A man of the institution. Miss Harper, thank you for your time. Curiosity is my professional vice, I responded, not offering him a seat. He took the chair opposite anyway. I'll be brief. Your technology is methodically destroying the business model my family has built over 4 generations. Junior lawyers we've nurtured for years are being laid off. Entire departments are being eliminated. You're not changing the industry, you're dismantling it. I'm dismantling backwardness, I retorted. The industry isn't a solid block, Mr. Whitman. It's alive. It must adapt or die. You're 29, you don't have a law degree, and you're teaching me? For the first time, genuine surprise rang in his voice. I have a Princeton degree, 3 years at Stanford Law School, and an artificial intelligence that conducts research better, faster, and at a fraction of the cost of any of your associates. So yes, on this particular issue, I am teaching. His jaw tensed. I want you to understand the consequences. My son's partnership is currently in jeopardy because of his connection to you. My company lost tens of millions in fees. We had to overhaul our entire training system. But your clients now get services at 60% lower prices and higher quality. That's called progress. That's called irresponsible destruction. He slammed his palm on the armrest. I'm asking you, demanding you, slow down. Give the profession time to adapt. I almost laughed in his face. A dry, harsh sound escaped my throat. Are you asking me to sabotage my own company, to slow down progress so your outdated model can live out its days in comfort? I'm asking for professional courtesy, he snapped, but a shadow of uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Courtesy? What, for example? What was your son's politeness when he told my sister to exclude me from the guest list because I wasn't up to par? Or my parents' politeness when they pulled me from Easter so I wouldn't accidentally embarrass them in front of you? He blinked, looking away. I don't know those details. Of course, you're too busy defending your dying dogmas to notice how your family humiliates others. Here's what's really going on, Mr. Whitman. You want me to lose so you don't have to change. But I'm not losing. I'm winning resoundingly. And you have a choice. Become our client, cut your costs by 60%, and survive. Or stubbornly cling to the past and watch as hungrier, smarter firms devour you alive. You're insufferably arrogant, he hissed. I prefer the word convinced. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with representatives of 50 AM law firms who want to step into the future tomorrow. He stood up, his figure seeming to fill with leaden heaviness. Christopher will break off his engagement to your sister because of this. Then let him do it. A man who puts his father's career ambitions above the woman he claims to love is a shaky investment. You'll regret this presumption. I regret nothing, I said calmly, looking him straight in the eye. I created a revolution when the likes of you said it was impossible. I succeeded when my own family pretended I didn't exist. The only thing I regret is wasting even a second hoping for your approval. It's worthless. April 15th, a call from Ashley. Her voice was hoarse, as if burned. Christopher's finished. His father said that marrying into a family connected to an industry disruptor would hurt his partnership. 4 years, Maddie. 4 years down the drain, and all because of you. I remained silent, letting the silence do its work. You ruined my life, humiliated my parents, made me look like a fool at my own party. And for what? To stroke your ego? To get revenge? I didn't do anything to you, Ashley. I was just building the company, period. You timed the article for Easter on purpose. The Wall Street Journal chooses its own publication dates. I found out about it a week ago. I don't believe you. I don't care. Look, your fiancé chose his father's career fears over you. Be mad at him, not at me. Everyone at the country club saw that article. Everyone knows you're my sister. They're asking why I didn't stop you. You're missing the point. I'm not destroying the profession. I'm evolving it. And if your friends at the club don't understand that, maybe it's time for you to find a new environment. You've always envied me. Admit it. You dropped out of school because you couldn't compete with me. I sighed, feeling not anger, but endless fatigue. Ashley, I dropped out of school because I saw a $50 billion industry ripe for disruption. Your position at the Law Review is great. My company, valued at $580 million, is a real force. Don't confuse the two. I hate you. No, you hate that my success turned out to be greater than yours, that your right path didn't make you exceptional. You hate that the sister you look down on is now more important in this world than you. The click of the receiver was louder than any slamming door. And life was moving forward at breakneck speed. Series C funding, $240 million. Valuation soared to $2.3 billion. 800 client firms, 680 employees worldwide. My face on the cover of Time magazine in the Next Generation Leaders section. Ironically, Harvard Law School invited me, a dropout, to deliver the commencement address. A card arrived from my parents. Impersonal. Bland. Congratulations on your success. We're proud of you. Love you, Mom and Dad. No call, no attempt to meet. Ashley sent nothing. November 2025. I bought an estate in Atherton, a dream home with vineyards and views of endless hills. A true family had gathered for the housewarming party, my team, investors, and friends who had been through thick and thin. Chinley raised her glass. To the one who dropped out of law school to rewrite its rules, you are living proof that the future is created by madmen. Someone asked if my family would be coming. I looked around the room, those faces lit up with faith in the common cause, in me. They're already here, I said firmly, the glass in my hand catching the sunset's glow. These are the people who believed when all I had was a debt and an idea, who didn't ask about level, but asked how to help. They didn't need a magazine to know I was worth something. Later, on the terrace, Chinley found me. No regrets? Images flashed before my eyes. Mom's message, Christopher's condescending smile, Dad's cold silence. None, I answered, and it was the absolute truth. You can't regret outgrowing those who refused to grow with you. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Mom. Aunt Carol saw you in time. She's asking about you. Can we talk? I hovered my finger over the screen, feeling the cool breeze from the hills. Then I deleted the message. Them again? Chinley asked. No, I smiled, looking at the lights of the valley, at the world we were changing. Just spectators who missed the best part and are now looking for a front row seat. I raised my face to the starry sky. My company was worth billions. We changed the rules of the game for an entire industry. We brought law closer to people. And all this without their faith, their support, their pride. Which meant only one thing. Everything I achieved was 100% mine. And that was more than enough. I raised my glass in silence. To true family. To those who came when it was dark and stayed to see the dawn.